the stream. Hey, love, how are you?
I'm very well. It's so good to finally meet
Oh
you.
my gosh, it's so nice to meet you as well. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was it was good. I had to think about it. I ended up having my kids home. They came home from college. The
Okay,
twins did, but then I called myself flying out to see my mom, and I got sick out there.
okay.
And so my mom's 88, and I'm thinking, I don't know what I have. I need to go home. So then I got on a bus and came home on Monday. I'm like, I'm en route trying to get back to Montgomery. Maurice, I can't do this
It's
podcast.
okay.
Let me go to the doctor and make sure I'm going to be healthy. And
Yes.
so I'm so sorry, but I was
Oh,
like,
that's okay.
why? But let me look, let me make my little sister get on this call. She ain't the
Yes.
most techie because
That's okay.
I'm like, she gonna say, what to do? Let me call her right now.
Okay.
Hey, sis, I
Je-
need you to jump on this call, remember? Hey, we on the call waiting on you, mama.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way. I had to get this. They're doing something in the building, and I tried to find myself.
All right, I tried to find myself. That's my girl. All right,
yes.
I'll see you in a minute. Bye. She is hilarious.
Where's
Who is
she at? Oh,
Graham?
oh, oh, mama's here. Mama's here.
Hey,
Mama's
hey, hey,
here.
sorry,
Okay.
y'all.
Hello.
They're working outside the building here, and we couldn't get in, so I'm trying to run around the building. And you know I can't be running nowhere. You know, I can't be running anywhere. Too old for
Yes.
that.
My sis.
How you doing?
Hello, hello. How are you, my love?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yes. So this is going to be episode one of my retro cast is what I'm going to call it. This is going to be more so of how you got into volleyball, because I know both of you were basketball athletes
Yep.
before going to volleyball. So what that transition's like, where the similarities are for basketball players, and just talk and just I want to know more about you.
I think the difference, though, and Rose, you correct me if I'm wrong, we
Hmm.
grew up as multi-sport athletes. That was just the
Hmm.
norm. Kids specialize more now than ever before. You know,
Hmm.
when basketball season came, we played basketball. When softball season came, we played softball. Track season, we did track. Volleyball, we did volleyball. That was the natural trend. And then in the end, the sport picked us. That's my experience.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I agree with that because I played everything. Whenever it was, I played on a little league baseball team. Because my dad was the coach. And
Okay.
so we had an all girls infield, and my brother was the pitcher. And we went to the regional tournament and we lost and we cried like little girls. They said, you're not supposed to cry in baseball. So when that movie came out, that you're not supposed to cry in baseball, we was in there crying like little girls.
Yeah.
But we were playing, little league baseball.
Hmm.
And everything, we did everything track and field. I dabbled a little bit with tennis and then volleyball. My sister played volleyball. So I would always go to watch her
Hmm.
and I just fell in love with that, and then college showed up. University of
Yes.
Houston showed up, and I said, okay, I'll take volleyball so I can get away from basketball because basketball you did a whole lot of running. So I was trying to get away. I was trying to get
Did.
away from it, but still when I got to college, I was still running.
Look,
Because
and
I'm
you
going
had to
to
run
tell
into
you,
the building today.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
Never
Rose,
stop.
I grew up with all boys. So if that meant getting out there running, sprinting, see who's going to win or playing basketball, I was one of them
Hmm.
tough. I was a tomboy growing up, straight tomboy, tomboy. It wasn't until I got to college and I went on a volleyball scholarship, but I want to be able to play basketball too. Well,
Hmm.
this is what I realized. In volleyball, you might miss Thanksgiving, but that's it. But you weren't gonna miss Christmas and New Year's. But in basketball, you
True.
missed all of them. I choose perfectly correct the next year. I just gonna stick with everything. I wasn't gonna miss those holidays.
right.
That is true. I mean, you
Yeah,
see games on Christmas and everything
yeah,
else, and it's like, oh, okay, volleyball is
yeah,
usually over by then. So,
It was
exactly.
over by then. Then
yes.
whenever we got to college, I went to University of Houston, and then I went to LSU, and I went and got Penny. I said, Penny, you got to come play with me. You know.
Yes, yes, yes. So we played together at LSU and had a blast. Had
So
a blast.
how how is that dynamic like LSU back then? Because you know now LSU has it always been a football driven team?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
a football driven school, I guess.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, Power Five is Power Five. You know,
Yeah.
and football, that's who made the money. And we understood where we fell. But I think back then, still when we played and being at that type school, you know, you let our coach tell it, we didn't get as much. But what we got compared to others, we got a lot. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and we had a privy to a lot, the training tables, the dorms, just the whole nine was just a whole different experience. And now being in the coaching arena and looking at the difference, because we can see the difference very easily right now. But still being at an HBCU, I will say, and this is my opinion and my experience, Alabama State has allowed me to still treat my Division I student athletes like big time Division I student athletes. We eat well, we sleep well, we travel well, and we get a couple flight trips a year if that's what I choose to do. So they still get the best of what let me say what's perceived, so to speak. But they still get a great experience here at Alabama State. This is the funny part. My kids here get so sick and tired of me talking about Rose and my relationship as student athletes because they don't cherish it. You know how nitpicky they are. And so what they don't understand is these are precious times. You need to develop great memories. Guys, create those memories that you're going to be able to tell a lifetime of stories. And then she and I both, we got married. We had our kids along the same time. It was a great experience, but Generation Z don't get it yet, but they will.
Yeah.
No,
That's
they
another
don't. They don't.
episode.
They don't get it. A couple of years ago, my teams, it was the exact same thing. Just was tired of me talking about Penny. You know, but you know, we do have a great relationship. We do a lot of things together. The experience coming through LSU, and like Penny said, we had a great experience there. And I do have to say too, here at Alabama A&M, they give me the opportunity to make sure that these kids have a good experience.
Yes, yes.
Good.
And I think one of the most, this was a defining moment for me. We were at a roundup. And so Alabama State and Alabama A&M waiting to play. So we went over and started playing rock, paper, scissors with Alabama A&M because I wanted to show my kids you can have good camaraderie. You don't have to hate each other. We know she's that school up north that we don't really call the name of here down south in Alabama, and vice versa for her. But if we're on the same road trip, these two teams going to get together. We're going to play games on the side. But when we get on the court, it's a dog fight. But after the dog fight, that's good camaraderie. Hey, and so they're supportive of one another. That's what I think student athletes miss at the HBCU level. Because at the club level, they take it to all the other conferences. So after they get done playing, they come across the net, you know, hey, good to see you, blah, 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 blah. But for some reason, my experience at the HBCU is a lot of animosity. That's my experience. Doesn't mean it's true. When it comes to competing.
Yes. Okay.
When it comes to competing. I think when we get, my kids are starting to understand how you separate the two. The whistle blow, we're on a mission. We want to take down anybody that's on the other side of the net. After that whistle's done blowing, hey sis, what's up? What you doing?
Yes.
And good luck to you next week, girl. Hey, and look out for this number on that team. She did a good job against us. I want you to be able to stop her. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's good.
Because everybody else do it.
That's right.
Everybody else is doing it. We didn't, you know, at first we didn't have some of the video exchange stuff that everybody else had.
Right.
That they could share the video. Now we could email teams and say, could you send me a video of them? But now we are at the point where we do have video access and we can, you know, get online and, you know, scout those other teams a little bit better. But early on, we didn't have a lot of those things.
Those are the deficits that was missing at the HBCU level, the videotape exchange or whatever. But now there's a lot of parity. There's, the fields are level, getting more level. Let's say that. with the resources that are being put at the SWAC level, at the MEAC level, to where we're able, when we step on the court, we've already seen this team a couple times, and our kids had an opportunity to study them and not compete in the dark. But hey, we got to stop this kid. She likes this shot. So now we're raising their IQ, and we're creating such a level playing field that what happens after the collegiate career, they can go out and try out for a pro team. They can go abroad and play, because now we're really teaching them the game at the next level.
Yes, 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 yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Now, now I'm gonna be, I guess, devil's advocate on this. Well, I'm gonna say devil's advocate, but have you ever, because both of you have played for the national team on in different areas, but have you ever, just amongst you two, just spoke about, hey, could you imagine if we coach one of these teams and we got to pick our athletes to go to wherever and represent USA? Have you ever thought about that at all
Well, I'll
throughout your
tell you what
friendship?
we have thought about. because we are very family oriented, and
Uh-huh.
granted our kids are adults now, but I guess I'm gonna put it out there. If the right situation was to come along and a Power Five was to approach one of us, we ain't going in it alone. We going in it
We're going together.
Yes. Oh
together.
my goodness.
Yeah,
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 if the right
Yes.
situation come, we're going together.
yeah,
Yes.
We
yeah.
That's what
we
I'm
have
talking
we have
about.
talked about that, and that we would both love, I think, to be in that arena together
Together.
to
Hmm.
see where we can take a team like that.
Yes. That's crazy. I mean, just my imagination and creativity starts running wild because there's so much depth between the both of you and what you've done professionally and in your collegiate careers. And just like you said, being able to pull from different sports, from the softball, from the baseball, from the basketball. And so you have just what is it, like a wealth, a lake full of knowledge that you can pull through.
And I think the biggest thing is the trust factor. Let's talk about what it
Hmm.
really takes to be really good. Is one, there's no ego when it comes
Yes.
to she and I, because
Hmm.
it would be, they say, well, who's the head? Who's the this? Associate head, both. You know,
Yes.
who's the? I said associate head, both. So and so who runs what? What do you feel like doing today, Rose?
Hmm.
It's always been that. We both have our own clubs. I lean on her a lot. And as she do I, if,
Hmm.
hey, Penny, I need you to come run this clinic for me. I need you to do this, this, and this. But that's been a lifetime of friendship. And I think sometimes that's what staff miss, is egos
Hmm.
get in the way. I really don't think you'll find that here with Rose and I, but of
Hmm.
course we're talking about 30 something years of friendship. But
Yes.
can you imagine having a staff with that kind of trust, knowledge, experience? We done forgot
Hmm.
more than what most people know. but, but I hear Ruth Nelson say that all the time. But Rose,
I
if you
know,
really
right?
think about it, but I think that's the difference. Is you'll have we fall right there, just like that,
Hmm.
and we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we're okay with that.
And we're okay with that. And you talk about the strengths and weaknesses. I know Penny can take a team
Hmm.
and make them feel like they can go through that glass and not get cut
Mm.
because of her motivation, her being able to motivate the team to feel like they're going to go out there and they can swim all the way across that ocean and never touch any of the water get in their face.
Mm.
So I know her strength of being able to motivate that team, and
Hmm.
knowing my strength of being able to train a team to do whatever it needs to
Yes.
do to win this ball game.
Oh yeah.
So if
Hmm.
putting those two things of motivation and training wise would be amazing to be together.
Yes. 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 And especially now, because I mean, I feel like the hot topic is mental health, but instilling that within your athletes, and it sounds like both of y'all have had that for the longest
Absolutely. I
time,
think it's
and
important.
also had each other.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's important.
Hmm.
Now, this would be a beautiful thing. I'm gonna put this out here. Like you say, you believe in manifestation. is
Yes.
for Rose and I to coach an HBCU all-star team that we take abroad.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Let me tell you, any countries you picked out yet? Any tournaments you picked out?
Look, that part is wide open, but let us pick an HBCU all-star team,
Hmm.
get that sponsorship, and let us be the first coaches to take these kids abroad and show them what success look like.
Oh
That
my
would be
goodness.
amazing.
Because I'm assuming most of these, I don't want to say most of the kids, but to go abroad to play in these arenas and these programs and these gyms is almost like, could you even fathom that? But that will be their reality.
But
Hopefully, one day I want it.
just to expose them to that,
Hmm.
because the Mountain West Conference started doing that, and all the different conferences, you take those kids abroad for 10 days or so, but you train them,
Hmm.
and that teaches a lot of good camaraderie and how you represent the conference and everything. That would be so unique, and the reason why I think
Yes.
the timing is right, you got a prime time Deion Sanders now. And
Hmm.
we got an Eddie Robinson here. You got the brother at Tennessee State. You got we got a Mo Williams. We getting all of
Hmm.
these elite athletes, former elite NBA, NFL athletes coming and now coaching that
Hmm.
have circles of influence that could easily open doors for us that wouldn't have necessarily ever been able to open. But with their influence, they could, and give us the trickle down effect. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Right?
That'll be out of this world. I mean, just have you ever thought about just doing like having all of the schools, HBCU schools, or maybe having like 10 get together and then like every summer or something like that? I don't know how it will be with the when you can coach because I'm assuming you can only coach officially starting at a certain time, but have you ever just had like a tournament just only for HBCU?
Well, I was hosting one. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, no,
Um,
you're okay.
I hosted the MEAC SWAC for about 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
It was always the first weekend, and we hosted it here for about 4 or 5 years. It was something to give us, let us start doing a MEAC SWAC challenge. So this
Hmm.
upcoming season, I'm trying to do an HBCU challenge since so many of the MEACs have now integrated into like the Big South and those other different
Hmm.
conferences, but still to give us a chance to still come together and compete against each other. So we'll see
Okay.
how that pans out in the fall.
Okay.
But yeah, we have done different things like that.
Okay.
Yes,
And
and I normally go to that tournament that she talks about and have talked about the HBCU tournament here at Alabama A&M also. So when you sent that out, Penny, I was like, great minds think alike, because
yeah.
we just was talking about it with my AD. What about if we did because I told him that we had done the HBC challenge, the HBC no, the SWAC MEAC challenge
Hmm.
at with Alabama State. What about doing something at HBCU? And he liked the idea. We just moved a little slow on it. So Penny, was about to call you Pansy. That's her real name.
Now she's telling you,
Uh-huh.
That's her
she's
real
telling
name. And
you
I,
You
I
told your
but
government name.
she put it out there again, and I said, okay, I'm gonna wait on her to do that, and I'm gonna be right there
okay.
supporting.
Well, Rose, tell them about the HBCU showcase that we did this past summer.
Oh, the one where we had to get under the table.
Well, you didn't have to talk about that incident, but you can tell them.
So Bernie up in Chicago had reached out to me to do a HBCU clinic. So I said, okay, I'll do it as long as Penny's coming. So we did that this summer, had a great time, and I think they've got two scheduled for us this year coming up,
Okay.
one in Chicago and one in North Carolina, I think it is, to do an
Yes.
HBCU clinic so that the players that look like us can all come, and the college coaches that look like us
Hmm.
will come in and train these kids. And so we're trying to do more stuff so that the players that look like us will know that we're out there, and we're
Hmm.
looking for great players also to come to us so
Yes.
that we can be at that next level of play, that we be their first choice.
Yes,
you know,
yes,
coming
yes.
up.
It was an outstanding experience. We were in it's Bernie that runs 360 Volleyball Academy out of Chicago,
Okay.
and we went out there, and you had all these HBCU head coaches and assistants was running the clinic. It was a
Hmm.
3-day clinic. We got to train them, and by the end of the clinic, they were competing. He also brought in one of Eric Thomas's guy to speak to them about how bad do you want it, and what that looks like. And so that
Yes.
was really cool. Um, but it was just outstanding that he reached out to Rose. And so Rose says, okay, we need to make this happen. So we put together a schedule on how we want to run things. We had Rose look at it. I like this. I like this. Let's change this. Had Bernie look at it. We good to go. And it was done. It was so smooth. He had a massage therapist that was
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
He had a chiropractor that was there, and he had an orthopedic surgeon, all African Americans. But the cool thing about it,
Mm.
they were there to service us and the parents who
Yeah.
sat all weekend watching their kids play. But the adjustments were beautiful. I got adjusted twice, but it was
Not twice.
Twice.
Solomon. But it was awesome. It was a great experience. Of course, we had no business going looking for jerk chicken.
That was Penny.
It,
She had to have
But that's
jerk
okay.
chicken. It was
it
not
was
me. It
really
was Penny
Rose.
had to have jerk chicken.
I'm a
Yeah.
pescatarian, but I decided to cross the line because she wanted chicken.
Yeah, but the chicken
You
was
say
amazing.
yeah.
It was absolutely amazing. The food was wonderful. And then the shooter came out.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have gone with people that was not from Chicago because they took us to the south
Oh,
side.
well, yeah, you should. That was the first
Going to the
mistake.
south side. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and we went there and we had to get up under the table. The shooter came out, we had to get up under the table and all kinds of stuff. But we had a blast. Don't get me wrong. We had a blast.
Wait.
But
There was
we
a
will
real
not go.
shooter?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't even hear the bullets. She had to tell me, Pansy, get down.
Oh, she used your real name. Hold up now, because you know
Yeah.
things are serious when that government name come out.
I was about to meet my maker.
Yes,
Oh
and we
my
have to get
goodness.
up under the table. And the rapper, his nephew got killed.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the
Lil Durk, or whatever his name is.
It was
Uh-huh.
his brother, I
His
think.
brother that got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we was trying to get up under the table and all kind of stuff. But we made it out alive. We was good.
Yes.
I forgot I could move that fast.
Look, sink or swim.
Girl.
Sink or swim.
I'm telling you, we was trying to get. Come on, Penny, let's go. But we made it. But we do plan to go back and do that clinic again in
Mhm.
June. But we will not be getting jerk chicken from that place.
And we will
but
not
it was
hang out with
amazing.
Brandon Reeves. Brandon Reeves is the reason why we ended up going there. So you make sure when you talk
Oh
to Brandon,
Lord,
Yeah,
I got it, because he gonna be next. He gonna be the
Yeah.
next one that I.
yeah, it was him. Mhm.
that was so crazy, Brandon.
Oh my goodness.
The
So,
jerk chicken was outstanding.
well, as long as the food was good, we can't.
And it was.
You know,
It
there'd be
it
something
was.
else if the food was terrible, and we getting shot up and
Right,
shot at. Like,
right.
so picking back on what you said about Gen Z a little bit earlier, how is it? Because both of you have your own programs, your own clubs. How are you? And the reason why I asked this is because Coach White, I watched an interview with you, I think it was Unplugged, I believe.
Yeah.
But you were saying that you had to, I don't want to say humble yourself, but you had to take a step back and just allow your team to just problem solve. So how do you take that? Because Gen Z is something else now. They are
Mhm.
wild. So how do
biological
you do
children.
that?
Rose and my biological children are millennials.
Hmm.
So Gen Z starts at 2001.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, I had to take a step back because I always thought I can connect, I can motivate, I can do this. And then there was a couple of years I was communicating like this.
Hmm.
Nothing stuck, no connection. So I took it upon myself to step back, and I went and educated myself. I went and sat under John Maxwell for a week.
Hmm.
Changed my life. Changed my life. It had a lot of us coaches in there. And the thing that I learned is that the student already knows.
Mm-hmm.
There is no reason for let me say this. We don't have to keep telling them. Gen Z don't like to be told. Gen Z like to be made to feel like they are part of the solution. That's the only way they're going to buy in, and that they you have to give them ownership. And so when I coach now, I coach in questions. So, what do you guys think's going on right now? What do we need to do?
Okay.
Not, hey, doggone it, we need to pass. They know they need to pass. You don't have to
Yeah.
talk to them like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if you really think about it, but old school, hey, pass the ball.
Mm-hmm.
No, hey guys, so what do you think's going on right now?
Mhm.
We really need to just step back and go back to basic. Let them answer the problem. Let them solve the problem. And what happens is, one, I figure out my pressure stays low.
Hello?
Two, okay, I figure out that when I let them resolve the problem, they take more ownership in resolving it, and then they get a lot of buy-in. Because then they'll say, well, I'm not moving my feet before she touched the ball. I'm not getting ready, like, you know, prep so I can move to the ball. Or I'm not looking at this. I'm taking my eyes off. They will tell you. I said, okay, guys, so how are we gonna fix that? What does that look like? Go around the circle. I don't care how long that takes.
Yes.
Right.
Because then I get that buy-in. Well, at the beginning of my season this year, I let them set all goals. In fact, I let them rewrite the entire team book almost. Because this group I'm going to have a while. So what do we really want? I said, give me words to describe the experience you want to have this year. Now this deep, but you got to take time. See, coaches don't want to take time to get in here. All they want to do is machines. They're not machines. Gen Z gonna tell you they ain't doing it.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna ask you, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So they talked about genuine sisterhood. They talked about transparency. They talked about accountability. That's big. So,
That's huge.
but they gave
Oh my
me like
gosh.
10 words, and I still keep it up on I should have pulled the board in here. But those three, so that meant they were willing to police each other every day. I didn't have to.
Right.
And they'll call a timeout in practice in a minute. Hold up, Coach White, can we? Yes, you can call a timeout. I let them go talk about it. Hey guys, we need to up the level. This is not how champions train. Because all I plan in their minds all year is, hey, is this what champions look like? No, ma'am. So what do we need to do to change this? Because this lethargy isn't gonna get it. Yes. That changed my life alone. So after I sat under John Maxwell, I stayed in Florida that weekend, and my club program met me. And I coached that weekend, completely changed everything. I was missing my M1 and my O2. And we won the silver that weekend by me asking nothing but questions on the sideline. Well, you
What a
know.
feeling. Oh my gosh.
So what I walk in with now is an objective. Hey guys, today I believe in words. Hey guys, today the word is intentionality. What does that mean to you? Intentional. And then they'll just spit out. I said, okay, so that's our word for the week. Every touch we get on the ball have to be a quality touch. We're intentional about how we see it, how we feel it, and how we execute it.
Yes.
But see, now you're not barking at kids. Now you're really, you're pouring into kids. You're impacting them in a level, not just skill level, but in a level that they can now go and apply in their real life about being intentional in the classroom, intentional about being in their room, intentional about winning the day. Let's win one day at a time. So if winning the day for me is getting this one project done, I got something to feel good about myself.
Yes.
So just those little nuggets changes the shape of your program.
And I agree with that. We did a lot of the same thing. We had Tell the Truth Monday so they could sit down and talk to each other, try to give them a sense of ownership and accountability for their team. They all had to find their word that they were going to try to uphold throughout the whole year. Mine was connect. I was making sure that I tried to connect with the team a little bit more.
Okay.
And I did ask them a lot of questions whenever we went to the AAU this year and we
Hmm.
won the championship. All I did too with them was ask questions. What do we need to do to fix this? How are we gonna fix this, you guys? They done made 6 points off of us in this rotation. How are we gonna fix this? And they said, well, we
Hmm.
need to do this. They went back out there and they took care of business. So
Yes.
I do agree that this group of kids today are the kids that you have to connect with a little different than whenever we played back in the day. For sure.
Hmm.
For sure.
Because
Yeah, and
becoming combative isn't gonna get it, and commanding from the top down isn't gonna work either.
Hmm.
It
see, and
has
I
to.
had to figure that out.
Oh yeah.
I had to figure that out because I'm so used to, I've been in football and track and field, and what coach tell you to do, coach, you better go do it. And
Mhm.
so I just trust in the coach. But now you have these kids like on Monday, I'm sitting there I'm like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we're gonna do, and them kids are looking at me like, okay, so all right. I'm like, well, you're not responding to what I'm telling you to do. So I'm like, well, what do you want to do? What do you see yourself doing? How do you see yourself doing it? And once I started asking the questions and they felt like they had input, like you were saying,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
then you get that connection and then you get that trust, number one, and then they're willing to just do whatever you want to do. And they're in middle school, so they haven't quite, gotten the it's a whole nother realm when they get to high school and then they hit that high school team and they think they don't stink. But now I got them in, I got 'em in the age where they just want to play. They just want to be there. They want to be a part of something. So it is a learning experience because I'm not used to that. I'm like, I'm the coach. I'm the adult. What you mean to tell me you asking me questions? Come on now, but you got to humble yourself if you want to be successful. And I need to have them teach me as much as I'm teaching them, or I will want to teach them.
Right.
So it's new. It's different. I'll tell you that the coaching
Very
dynamics.
different. But Mo, think about this. Look at
Mhm.
how many old school coaches are stepping down right now because it's a whole different student athlete. It's a whole
Yeah.
different animal. You're not gonna go
Yes.
and tell kids what to do, and kids have a voice now more than
Hmm.
ever, and they understand their position in the whole scheme of everything with the NIL, the name,
Mhm.
image, and likeness. I'm
Hmm.
talking about just at the college level and
Yes.
just with the mandate. Okay, if we get 20 hours a week and you're going over, these kids have a voice. They
Yeah.
have a voice, and their voice
Hmm.
means something because guess what? They are truly the stakeholder in all this.
Yes.
They are a big stakeholder, and athletic directors get it. The players get it, and so right now, what has to happen? We have to get it as coaches if we're going to stay in it.
In the game.
Hmm.
We gotta change with the landscape.
Yeah, especially with now, like the athlete is at least on the college level is able to be sponsored by companies and organizations and all of these other things. They're able to make money while they're in school. So now they definitely have a voice because it's like, I mean, you paying me for me being me, for
And they're
me
Exactly.
to
not
do
loyal.
what
They're
I
not
do.
loyal. They're
Yeah.
not loyal. You know what I'm
And
Hmm.
saying? Because it's almost like they're professionals now.
Yeah.
So, if you think of Julius Irvin, you thought of the 76ers.
Hmm.
right.
If you think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you thought of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Right.
But if
Yes.
you say LeBron James, you're gonna say two or three teams. If you
Yeah.
say Shaquille O'Neal, you're gonna say two or three teams.
Yes.
Hmm.
But that's the changing of the guards, and it's when we started seeing people taking selfies. That's when our whole this everything changed. Disposition. It be me, ego.
Yes.
Think about it. Selfies. So this our landscape of how we live, act, and treat one another has changed.
Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
So how do you keep that energy on the club level, like that asking questions and just be all in, but still also Like, don't be disrespectful now. Like, yes, we are here for you. We want you to speak, but the attitudes and everything else, let's keep that. You can keep that at home.
Well,
So how do you navigate through all of that?
well, one of my friends told me, and it kind of makes sense. The difference
Hmm.
is at the collegiate level, I pay these kids to play. I kind
Hmm.
of got a little leverage. At the club level, they pay us to play.
Hmm.
So I think your approach must be different.
Right.
Yes.
Listen at that concept. They're paying to play. So they're paying for an experience.
Hmm.
If they're paying for an experience, then I may need to change my approach
Okay.
if we're customer service oriented.
Hmm.
You guys follow me? Now,
Yes.
Rose is obviously good at it because she got about 30, give me 31, 32. I ain't counting up
30,
pennies.
35 teams. We got 35
35
teams this year.
teams?
Sir.
35
Yes,
teams
sir.
this year.
Yes,
Woo!
blessed and highly favored.
Yes.
Blessed. And whenever they come through the door, we say, look at those blessings coming through the door.
Come
That's what
on.
we call them. They
That's right.
support us. They support me. The parents are wonderful. And I
Yes,
can't complain.
yeah.
I can't complain.
You hear how soft
Oh my
spoken
gosh.
she is. You can't help but love that. That's that nurturing, that motherly. During COVID, I went up there and we ran a little a little clinic, for the little itty bitties, and
Hmm.
she let me do my thing. She
Okay.
she let me walk around and talk about if I told you you couldn't fail, how would you approach practice today?
Mm. Oh my
Yes, you did.
gosh.
If
It
Oh
I
was
my goodness.
powerful.
if I told you you could not fail, how would you train? So then all of a sudden they changed the way they saw things, or how
Hmm.
how they're now going to take their experience
Mm.
and make it and own it. So that was really cool.
Oh my goodness. If you could not fail,
How would you train? How would you
woo,
if
that'll
I
open your eyes
told
right
you
there.
you couldn't fail?
Where at in your life, like what was the moment when you were like, okay, yes, like I mentally I'm there, physically I know I got what it takes to run this court. I know what it takes to be successful at volleyball, both on and off the court, because the two dynamics of today's volleyball, with everybody going everywhere and playing for everybody and social media and this and that, and you could be partnered up with literally anybody.
Okay, I'm there.
Okay. You disappeared for a
I
second.
know. I was like, what happened?
And then just going to, like, when you were coming up, when you were playing for the national team, when you were in college, like how are those two? What was I asking? I forgot. I got like 12 questions
When
running
did
through
you
my mind. I'm
know?
so
When did you
excited.
know? When did you know
Yes.
that you could be successful at
Yes.
playing this game or coaching it? When did you know, Rose?
Hmm.
I think I knew um it wasn't, I never even really thought about it in the college that this would be my life. I
Right.
didn't think about it on the national team that this would be my life. Flo Hyman and I had talked, the late Flo Hyman and I had talked one time about developing and training kids, that we would never cut anybody.
Hmm.
And I said, okay, we could do camps.
Yeah.
Okay. But never really thought that this would be my life. Then when I went to Japan and I came home and couldn't find a job,
Hmm.
I was looking for a job for the summer
Okay.
because once in May, I had 3 or 4 or 5 months that I was going to be home. And I said, well, maybe I'll get a job.
Okay.
So I went all over the city of Huntsville looking for a job. Couldn't find one. So I saw this Baskin Robbins over there, and I said, let me go to Baskin Robbins. And I went into Baskin Robbins and I said, I want a banana split. Never ate a banana split after that. I got the banana split, and the lady said, would you happen to, I don't mean to disrespect you, but would you happen to need a job? I said, sure, I need a job, Baskin Robbins job. So the next day I went in and got the job to say, to make a long story short. So I started working at Baskin Robbins. Then a little girl came in and says, we were talking and I was telling her about me. She said, you're so tall. And I told her about that. I was on the national team and stuff like that. And the mom is looking at me like, really, right? You working at Baskin Robbins. So the little girl went home and did a little research, came back a couple of days later and said, what would you do would you like to do a clinic? And I said, sure. So I set this clinic up. And at that time, Nancy Reagan was into this thing called Just Say No, right? So I put this clinic together and it was called Just Say No. We came in and had a cousin that had went through the steps of the drug rehab, had him come in and talk to the clinic. We had about 100 kids show up at this clinic. So I started doing these clinics during the summer. The rest of the summer, I just was putting it out there. We're doing this clinic. So I started doing clinics. And they were successful, and I was liking it. And I said, I could do this a little while. So I went back to Japan that season and came back again and started doing these clinics. And I says, I like doing this. Then someone came to me and asked me to do a club. And I'm like, okay, I'm still playing. Someone set Rocket City up. I was not even there. I flew in to do the parents meeting. They didn't even know I was flying in. I fly in, and the auditorium is packed. And I'm like, okay, now I got to go up there and do a speech. Well, I don't do a whole lot of talking. So I went out there and did my little speech. And then the next 2 days later, I flew back to Japan, where the club blew up. And so I came back in March, and the club done blown up. And so I said, well, maybe this is going to be my life for a while. And it was my life. So I guess it was, Baskin Robbins that started my life into doing this club and teaching and doing clinics and training kids, because nobody else would give me a job. And so, even though I was an Olympian and playing professional, people wouldn't give me a job. They said I was making too much money. They couldn't pay me. And so I'm like, I'm not looking for that pay. I'm looking just to have a job. Yeah. And so Baskin Robbins gave me a job. And so I guess that's whenever I realized that I could do this life of camps and clinics and training. And I enjoyed it and loved watching the kids, the smiles on the kids' face whenever they did something right, or just giving them the energy, the motivation to do something right was great for me. And I guess it was in 4 years after the Olympics, 88, that I started. And so doing camps and clinics.
Well, I went to the national team after Rose because I was too chicken to go when she went. I was scared. I was terrified. Yeah. So then I go after, and then I go and I play overseas. And so when I would come home, Rose had started her clinic because I was still playing in Italy in 88 when she really started laying the groundwork. She said, well, at least come and run some clinics. I'll go hang out with her up there and I'll help her with camps and stuff. It was great just catching up because her husband and I could talk all. Rose would just leave, but we talk all night. And so it was a lot of fun. So then afterwards, I ended up coming home from Italy one year. I'd met this young man and Rose, and oh Lord, that's a whole nother story. Rose called me, you need to get married, blah, 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 blah. My dad had talked to Rose, but that's a whole nother story. So anyway, I ended up getting hired on site unseen. I'm working the University of Florida volleyball camp. I'm just working camps, having a good time out there. And so all of us coaches got together at lunch. We sitting in Mary Wise's office. We're eating and we just chopping it up. And this fax then came across her desk, said the University of Memphis was then Memphis State was looking for a head coach. And they said, Penny, this would be really good for you. I said, me? I've never had a coach before. And it's like, yeah, but you'll be good. So then Lynn Parks, who was the senior women's administrator, called Ann Lawler, who was the senior women's administrator at Florida at the time.
Okay.
Miss Lawler sat on my court for the next 3 hours and watched me train in camp and called her back and said, you got your next head coach. I go to University of Memphis. I win in 5 years. I won 3 championships, take them to the NC2As, and the only coach that has done that, the only banner that's still sitting in that gym. And then later on, I go and I take the job at the Air Force Academy for 15. And then I'm now here at Alabama State 11 years later. It went by so fast. So during that time, I had this little girl. I had a set of twins, a boy, girl. And I didn't want anybody else to train her. And I pick up the phone and I call Rose. She says, you need to start a club, but you can start under me first. I said, yeah, because I ain't trying to. She said, I went to Rocket City Volleyball for a year. She said, I'll teach you everything you need to know. And so we had the first Rocket City Volleyball satellite team here in Montgomery, Alabama. Put it under her. I ain't have to worry about all that administrative stuff. All I want to do is train. And then afterwards, you can do this. And then I started PLW, Play Like Winners.
And that's what we want to do, is just bring people along with us. You know, not just, you know, I'm doing one now in Decatur and Tuscaloosa to bring in another group of coaches to have their own thing too. Just knowing that we are here to support. And Penny is in with me with the Tuscaloosa group. Just we're here to help anyone that wants to go that direction, to help young women learn the game better or more.
Well, let's take it to the next level. So then we go through COVID.
Yes.
And one of the newest African-American female coaches had just gotten a head coaching job and wanted to know how she should go and get her LLC so she can run her camps and do everything. And so we did so many Zoom calls and we connected. We were able to reconnect with so many different people on a different level because Rose and I our teams chose not to compete in 2020. So we started that and we're mentoring all these young women. And Rose says, let's start our own investment club. I said, okay.
Right. I'm like, oh.
She says, let's do it so when these young women are our age, they don't have to look or have to work as hard for retirement because we will educate them on the front end on how to invest. Now, Rose have always been that person to invest. She'll say, Pansy, you need to go buy this. You need to go buy this. Hey, Tesla just split. You need to go do this. Apple just did. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Just do it. I trust her. We put together 20 women. We still have 17 remaining. Mentoring, investing, growing. But that's how you grow people, is you share. Because most of us don't share information.
Yeah, that's very true. Especially I can only speak, well, I can speak on a lot of things, but for the sake of this conversation, volleyball, especially down in South Florida, it's very, we got this going on. We got this going on. Don't come over here. Don't come over here. It's very like marginalized. And I'm like you don't hear that very often.
Yeah. And so that's what we want to break, that stigma. We want to be inclusive. We want, hey, little sis, you can pick up the phone and call us. All of us have probably been fired before, so let me help you through it. That job did not define who you are, and it won't define who you will be.
Correct.
You may be struggling with an administrator. There's a way to deal with a difficult person. That does not define who you are either, but you can become a better coach, a better employee, and a better person. We don't have to keep complaining about it. Let's be resolution based. How can we make this situation better, or how can we position you in a position to take your next step? It's time for you to move on.
Yes, because you can't stay here. You cannot sit still. You
Yeah.
cannot sit in your foolishness. You've got to move on.
Yeah.
Right.
And this the deal. And if God say it's for you, he will move that person too. It may be
True
for
that.
you not to move.
Right.
So we got to sit still, like you said, and be able to
Mhm.
hear what he wants you to do.
Yes. So, how do you bridge the gap between your club athletes and when they go to high school?
Well, we all have those kids that come in and they may have not made their middle school team.
Hmm.
And I think first of all, I try to let the parents and the player know it takes a lot of work.
Yes.
It's not easy. But you have to make your child and this kid have to realize that they have to make themselves undeniable. And
Hmm.
being undeniable means that they're going to have to put in some extra work. It may cost money at go and do some private lessons, some semi-private lessons, getting
Hmm.
yourself involved in more camps and clinics, finding you a person of knowledge to
Hmm.
bring you to that next level. And then knowing that if I make myself undeniable, if I'm undeniable and I get the number of reps in and the touches and, not just touches, good touches,
Hmm.
someone that's going to uh, fix the small things, you know, make me look like a volleyball player,
Yes.
not just a player out there that's going, taking 900 steps to serve a ball. Help me look like a volleyball player,
Hmm.
not just the player. And sometimes people don't understand that. So therefore, making sure that they find the coach that's going to make them look like a volleyball player, walk like a
Hmm.
volleyball player, act like that volleyball player.
Hmm.
Because there is a way that we as coaches look at those players and say, she
Hmm.
don't even serve the ball well. So
Hmm.
she's already out. You got to
Yes.
start with that. Making sure that they look like that volleyball player. My opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
I'll throw a wrench in it, just a different spin. So that's
Okay.
the kid and the bridge. So the kid that doesn't make the team.
Hmm.
My bottom line is sport is a laboratory to prepare kids for life. There's
Hmm.
going to be things where kids are not going, there are going to be groups that they're not going to make, jobs they're not going to get, and all of that. But in club, you can play club and still get the experience of team, of collaboration,
Hmm.
cooperation, and teamwork, and never play for the school. Now, I'm an advocate because I love those 5-year, 10-year, 15-year class reunions. I'm
Hmm.
totally against club programs that do not advocate for kids to play high school sports. But for the kid that doesn't make it, they still have an avenue to play club sports and
Hmm.
still get that experience of camaraderie,
Yes.
the experience of teamwork and teammates, and the thing that keeps them out of trouble, that keeps them busy and keeps them in structured environments. So,
Yes.
there's two different ways we can look at it and still give the kid a great experience.
Okay. Yes. 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 See, it's always, I mean, you never know what you're gonna get when it comes to an athlete. You never know. You never know. I mean, you get some kids who, for real, like they step in the gym for the first time and they're like 16 years old and they didn't went and saw somebody's D1 school on ESPN playing in the Final Four and they're like, I'm gonna go to Nebraska. And I'm
Right.
like,
Exactly.
So
oh, okay.
unrealistic. So unrealistic. But
Right. I'm gonna go
Yep.
to Penn State. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, and Russ Rowe gonna do what with you? Like, I just want to know. But thank you so much. I appreciate the time you gave me. I appreciate just starting a relationship with both of you, and I look forward to being a part of everything great that you have. And if you ever need anything at all, you let me know. You have my number. Please feel free to contact me at any time.
thank
And
you.
we will.
We will.
Absolutely.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Well,
much for having us.
thank you, thank you. I will see y'all later, and I will talk to you soon.
All
Okay.
right, guys.
All
Bye.
righty.